Under what law are you shutting me out? Under what law are you shutting me out? Tell me the law that you said that I will not find my final written address. Something the Constitution gave him, fair hearing. And you never gave him an opportunity to address all those evidence, those exhibits, which I told you. Southwest, the president, Southwest, Attorney General, Southwest, prosecution, Southwest, the judge. Do you get what I'm saying? So, as if the Northerners were finished, hand him over to the Southwest. I have never seen that kind of trial in my life. Shot everybody in before our open eye and adjourn for judgment. In a serious matter like this, final written address for the fact that you did not give and the defendant the power, the opportunity to present his final written address, which you, in your judgment, said that you're going to allow parties to address whatever issues they have with evidence in their final written address, which the Constitution gave him the power to file. You now on your own, and foreclose them that right. That particular judgment is date on arrival.
Your client, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was sentenced to life imprisonment. What was actually going through your mind and your immediate reaction when Justice Omotosho read out that judgment of life imprisonment on Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, I felt embarrassed in the sense that somebody have told me this is how the judgment will go, even while the trial was going on. So I said I thought that the person was joking. So, and as somebody, a member of the legal team, and he's a consultant, and his brother, and somebody that is very close to him, people knew that I'm close to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and they were telling me this thing. Not only within this country, outside Nigeria. I thought that they were joking. When I travel for vacation, people, Nigerians in the diaspora, told me this is how the judgment is going to be. That the federal government is bent on convicting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by all means. I thought that they were joking. So, but when the thing now played out, I was embarrassed that such a thing is coming from my own jurisdiction, where I'm coming from, as a member of as a lawyer and a member of a legal profession. So I felt embarrassed. But in the other way around, I also expected it based on what I had. But whichever that is the case, is a judgment of the courts. No matter how stupid a judgment you feel that it is, it must be obeyed. They have convicted him. In fact, of course, you know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been persecuted before, which you know, journalists you know, that has been persecuted. He has suffered the highest injustice somebody can suffer in the whole world. You are aware. Because of Nnamdi Kanu, they have turned judiciary upside down. They have turned our criminal jurisprudence upside down. It is the case of Nnamdi Kanu that somebody was kidnapped from a foreign country back to Nigeria without following the law, and nobody said anything about it. It's the case of Nnamdi Kanu, where Court of Appeal, unanimous, I'm not talking about customary court, I'm not talking about area court, customary Court of Appeal, second to the highest court, gave an order after hearing the judgment and discharged Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and ordered that on no condition should anybody try him because of the extraordinary rendition. Federal government, look at Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal, you are talking rubbish.
Wow. This lawyer just exposed what he called the most erroneous, fatal, judgment ever in the history of the world. Just listen and watch to see what Nnamdi Kanu is actually passing through. And most of us that are actually coming out to speak, we're not speaking based on bias or whatever. We are just playing and replaying all these interviews so that people would understand the background through which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being sentenced to life imprisonment. And it is important to come out to voice out, because it happened to Nnamdi Kanu today. It could happen to anyone. And then Nnamdi Kanu happened to be a Nigerian citizen, no matter how you see it. So if you fail to talk, it's definitely going to point you one day. And that is why I think it is necessary for people that matter. If you have an influence on media, just troop out and come and comment on this. It is really, really important. Very, very important. Because injustice to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to be injustice to all. When you listen to the things this lawyer, Mazi Nnamdi is saying, you would get so annoyed that why and how? I mean, this is too much for one person. And people that talk about Nnamdi Kanu being abused and feeling angered and all of that in court would see reasons why Nnamdi Kanu, did all of those things. I mean, like some people do say, no one will, rule out that Nnamdi Kanu never did anything, he didn't incite and all of that. But when you watch the back, we have law in this country. And whatever anybody, in as much as you are a citizen of this country, do, the action you take after and before is being traced with the Nigerian constitution. So the lawyer is saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is seeming to be, something else, that the law of the land is actually being turned upside down because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I remember when we were analyzing stuffs in our previous video, we didn't actually touch what the lawyer alleged. He gave reasons to why the Nnamdi Kanu's counsels, the lawyers, representing him, withdrew. But before the end of this video, we would get to analyze, to see the constitutional review, the constitutional reflection to what the man has to say, because he made mention or reference to professional ethics, which he says it's one of the reasons, or it's the reasons why they actually withdraw from the case, to avoid clashing with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the client, with the judge, because according to him, in their profession, the courts confess before the client, and the judge also confess. Whatever the judge say is the law. So that we'll have to find out later. Before we hint any further commentary, let's watch the video.
We cannot obey it, and they never obeyed it. They kept Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We succeeded in making noise in pages of newspaper and in media houses, and they never obeyed it. Rather, they now use what we call a stay of execution that is applied in civil matter. They now use it to stay that execution. After 8 days, they were with him. After 8 days, in a country that is running democracy, in a country that is operating rule of law. Now, they now met the same court of appeal. That court of appeal that said, obey, release him. The court of appeal did not say, are you still with this man? The man that will ask you to release, you are still with him. The same court of appeal accepted that. They still accepted that particular state of a state of proceedings and went to Supreme Court. Guess what happened in Supreme Court? Supreme Court now look at all the whole issues. No, yes, it's true. The way a man of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was brought in this country was wrong. Yes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never jumped bail. The court ought not have revoked his bail. The court is even biased, written in black and white. The manner of the federal government to use Operation Python dance to go and attack in his house and demolish and kill several persons there and left with some corpses was wrong. Supreme Court mentioned all these things. Yes, we have also, from our own submission, we have also discovered that the charge upon one of the charges upon which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being charged was brought on a wrong law. Now, the only thing is that they should continue with the trial. Whatever objection you people have, the defendant Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, whatever objection you people have, we can raise it at the court. But what do you call it? The prosecution go and amend that particular count charge to reflect in the correct law, so that the trial should continue. I don't know whether you're going to say these are the orders of the Court of Appeal. Do you know what they did? The federal government only choose only one. Do you know the one they choose? The one of continuing with the trial. They refused to amend the law. So when we get to that place, based on what the Supreme Court said, say, my lord, you can see what the Supreme Court said. Look at the judgment. Look at it. If they even accuse you that you are biased, can you allow another judge to look at it? Nobody just Bintanyako on her own consider the application and they disqualified herself by an order and send the file back to CJ for CJ to reassign. So CJ now, administratively, through administrative letter, ask Honorable Justice Bintanyako to continue. When the file now get back to that, and go back to Bitanyako's court, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was brought to the court. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, my lord, no. You have already, there is an order, subsisting order, disqualifying yourself, recusing yourself. That order is still subsisting. That order cannot be set aside by the administrative letter by the CJ. Please, you stand recused yourself. So I think the saw reason with him, and the file was taken back to CJ and it was reassigned to Honorable Justice Omotosho. So when a matter gets to another court, is to start what we call afresh. In law, we call it de novo, starting afresh. Whatever thing that happened in that old court is a nullity. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now took a fresh plea. I want you to understand it. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu took a fresh plea. What do you mean? A plea, guilty or not guilty? Remember that he has taken his plea in that of Honorable Justice Peter Nyako. And it was based on that plea, that proceedings, pending proceedings that was going on. I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying. That was why Supreme Court said, let the matter continue in that court. Because Supreme Court was having in mind that the matter will continue in that court. Supreme Court never advised their mind that this matter can be assigned to another court and it will start afresh. I'm heading to somewhere. Do you know where I'm heading to? Repealed law. I'm coming. Repealed law. Now, when the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu took a fresh plea, everything now started de novo, afresh. The proceedings which Supreme Court made reference to in Binta Nyako's court has been has gone with sponged with whatever thing that happened in Binta Nyako's court. Now we are now in Honorable Justice Omotosho's court. One expected them to amend that particular count 7. That was count 15 before Binta Nyako. Now after the Binta Nyako struck out that, it becomes count 7, which they brought in under the wrong law. They refused to amend it. They know the implication of amending it. They allowed it. Now that one is on that. I don't want to go what happened, how Nnamdi Kanu was brought to this country. I don't want to go discuss about how the Operation Partners attacked his house, how he never jumped there, how he ran away. I don't want to go into that. Now let's go back to where we are. Honorable Justice Omotosho. So when we came, the matter started. After his plea, we continued. So they opened their defense. Now the defense, the witnesses they call 5 witnesses. All the SSS officers. Now, out of the 5, Nnamdi Kanu said, out of all these people you called, it's only one person, you, that investigated me, that arrested me when I from Lagos to Abuja here, that even interviewed me. I didn't know these persons. I never met them. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was alleging that all those people were rented witnesses. That was his allegation. Now, how do I believe Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? All the questions they asked them, I don't know. You said that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu killed his broadcast was the thing that killed Gulag. He said yes. Did you arrest anybody? No. How do you arrive to this particular investigation? Are you aware that the chief security officer of Imo State has also said that the report available to him has established that IPOB has nothing to do with the killing of Gulag? It's political. And the video was played there in the court. Now, going by the statement, Nnamdi Kanu made a statement in his statement, because in any criminal trial, investigation has to do with statement of the accused and his interrogation. It's his statement that will lead you to investigation, and you write an investigation report. Those people, they never write any investigation reports, but that one is by the way. Now, the judge when they showed Nnamdi Kanu said, yes, I made this statement, but my lawyer was not there. I made it under duress. There was what we call trial within trial was conducted. For those of them who said that Nnamdi Kanu never made any statement, because they are not following the trial. During that trial, within trial, Nnamdi Kanu used that opportunity to explain everything about IPOB, and he was cross-examined. Nnamdi Kanu was cross-examined within that trial, within trial. It is there in the court record, and the court is expected to take the judicial notice of that. Is a state witness. That is statement he made from the dock and the cross-examination. So after that, the judge was convinced that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was made that statement under duress. He made a ruling and he rejected that statement of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the market rejected. Now, the question there is that now that the statement has been made, market rejected, which means Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has no statement. On what basis did you prefer the charge? Because you can't put something on nothing expected to stand. If the judge on his own raised a Bible in the court and the Bible fall, he raised it again, said, you know me, you can't place something on nothing expected to stand. That is the beginning and the end of that trial. Because that charge was predicated on that statement. And they asked them, Kalagabi SN. I think it was Kalagabi that. Anyway, 3 of them were cross-examining. Kalagabi was cross-examined, Meketaba cross-examined, conducted the trial, Eroko conducted the trial, as they were exchanging all those learners. I know one of them asked, you carried out this investigation. Was there any investigation report? He said no. That one is on that. That one is on that. Now that one has gone. Now, during the trial, when the trial was going on, I want people to just listen so that those who are arguing what they are arguing in social media, who never understand where Nnamdi Kanu was coming from. During the trial, at the commencement of the trial, the judge said in the record of proceedings, I am not going to entertain any objection of admissibility of any exhibit. Any objection that has to do with the admissibility of any exhibit that has been tendered, please reserve it, and you can address it during your final written address on record. Maybe he forgot that he said such a thing. So if they want to tender exhibit, those doctored exhibits, you know what they did? Any place Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said if this thing happened, something like, maybe just use instance and said, any police officer who used the gun government gave him to protect life and property, and they want to use that gun to kill you, collect it back. Collect it before he kill you. Collect it and use it and kill him first. Self-defense is a self-defense, and it's also permissible in law. Now they will now remove that one, and they will only copy from that, from only that one. He said, key police officer, and they'll attach it and play it. And if you watch all those exhibits, thank God that it's a public record if they will release it. If you watch it, thank God that most of you are experts in this field. You will know that it is been cut and joined. And any time they want to tender it, you see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the witness box, he will be in the dock, he will be shaking his head. He say, my lord, we will object to it, but we will reserve our grounds of objection during final written address. This is how all of them have been tendered. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. So when they concluded their trial, I think they did close their case. The prosecution closed their case. I think Kalagabi jokingly so that one will. So this is what you now, all these things you tendered. That's what you now used to keep this man for 3 years in the name of terrorism. This singlet, boxers, all this tape. That's what we want to use. So they jokingly, I said, I was there. So we now file our no case submission. I enjoined anybody. It's a public document. Go and read that no case submission. If you read that no case submission, that was where all these issues would have been ended. But in no case submission, my lord ruled that there's a prima facie case against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that he should open his defense. Of course, there are some things that I will not tell you here. What brought about, just like the other I told you, I'm a lawyer, and you, Mr. Victor, you engaged me to represent you, and you're not a lawyer. And there are some things that you need to know as a layman. That is to say that 1 + 1 is 2. And I have read it in your law book that 1 + 1 is 2. So in the practical, you're not asking, Mas, but you say 1 + 1 is 2. And the judge said that is not, that he won't admit it. What happened? Are you saying? Sure. I will tell you to just forget about it. A lot of issues will be coming up. His Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial is more political than legal. So a lot of issues we are coming up, which, as a lawyer, I am an officer in that temple of justice. And being an officer in the temple of justice, I'm expected to protect the interests of the court first. My duty first as a lawyer is to the court before my client. So a lot of issues came up. The long and short story that there was an understanding, and the lawyers had to leave. They have to leave.
Did they leave voluntarily, or Nnamdi Kanu asked them to step aside?
There was an understanding. They have to leave. There was another understanding. I have done it in several cases. For and against, where I'm representing a client, and it will be as if I'm having an altercation with the judge. I will tell the client, please, can you take your file to another lawyer? I don't think that I'll continue with this matter, because it will be uncalled for that I am having an altercation because of a case of a client. The APDC will take it on, will not take it lightly with me. I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying. So most of the times, you will tell their client, please go and look for another lawyer. Maybe I may not, what I discussed with the client, I may not explain it to you. But the only thing there is that if you cannot get another lawyer, you may decide to. You said, okay, now, why not to do this thing for me? I don't know what I'm saying. Probably, let me use you as an instance now. You say, Maswell, why not do this thing for me? I will tell you that I cannot do it because the rules of professional ethics will not allow me to do this. Are you what I'm saying?
Sure.
But if you do it as a layman, it will be understandable that I cannot do it. And this thing has to do with capital punishment. Do you get what I'm saying? There are some things that I may not go in here, but the only thing, there was an understanding, and all of us left. All of us left for the purpose of that case. So he decided to handle it by himself.
Can I assume that probably you people saw where the case was going? Was it the reason why you decided to pull out?
There are some things that I will not say here. Are you what I'm saying? But there was an understanding. And Leonard Sek, Kalagabi, and all that legal thing, we left. Remember that nobody's paying them. They were doing that matter on the pro bono, and I gave it to them. Are you what I'm saying? So they left. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu decided to handle the matter by himself. I'm handling about 5 of his matters. 2 in Court of Appeal, 1 in Supreme Court, 2 in FCT High Court. I'm doing for him. So I'm still his lawyer. Are you what I'm saying? But that particular charge, he decided to handle it by himself. So that one is on that. I'm talking about, I saw one former lawyer, I think, what's the name? Ifeanyi Ejiofor, writing. I don't know where he's writing because one, when Mike Ozakume was leading us, I started in the matter in 2015. Every other lawyer met me there. The people that I started the matter with, none of them, none of them is around. They all met me and they left. So when somebody is talking about, they say that Kalagabi then left, and so we left with them. I don't know what I'm saying. When Mike Ozakume was leading us, before Mazi Nnamdi Kanu asked Ifeanyi Ejiofor and Mike Ozakume to go, the reason for that I don't know. I was in Germany when I came back. And I asked me, say I should leave it like that. Of course, a client have the right to decide how he's going to handle his matter. It shouldn't be an issue of quarrel. I hear them saying name calling. Now, the person who collected the file from Ejiofor's office is Kalagabi's office. These are the people that collected the file and started handling the matter. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. Then in Omotosho's court, the trial was conducted by them. And when they closed the case, after no case submission, on the verge of opening defense, so some issues came up, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu decided to handle the matter. All of us also left. Ordinarily, I shouldn't have any business of coming around that place. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not only my client, he's my brother. And I believe that he is a freedom fighter. I believe that what he's fighting is something that should be considered, that his people is being marginalized, that Igbos have been marginalized, that if they cannot share anything equally and treat Igbos like every other Nigeria, they should allow the Igbos to go. And what he's fighting is also backed with the law. So I cannot just abandon him. That one is on that. So he decided, just like as I told you, I'm handling most of his matters. A lawyer to a client is also a consultant to that client. I'm a consultant. I'm a professional consultant. The effect of the fact that I'm a professional lawyer, I'm a consultant. So handling a matter for somebody is not only coming to represent him in court. You can be doing research for somebody. Somebody might ask you to do research for him. Somebody may consult you for a specific legal opinion. You are a consultant. That one is on that. So when we now left, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now, because I saw one SAN who was in one other talking something that he doesn't even know. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now filed his witnesses, subpoena witnesses, those who wanted to call, he started going through the various laws. Just like as I told you, Igbos and people that believe in his cause, they're interested. People we are researching, people we are giving advice. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now brought a application, and we are talking about a criminal trial with a capital punishment. And in law, it has been settled that once in any criminal trial, once there is any iota of doubt, you resolve it in the favor of the defendant, especially a defendant that has no lawyer. Do you know what I'm saying? So the judge should be his lawyer. The judge should be his lawyer. Even when he said that I'm going to defend myself, that is where you need to be careful with him. One, anything he said, you explain to him. When he filed a motion, you hear his motion. And you explain to him. Because we are talking about convicting him, proving your case beyond all reasonable doubt in a terrorism matter. He said no, that you're not going to do this, and you started threatening him, that if you are not ready. He said, my Lord, I am ready. This is a witness boss. My Lord, tell me the reason. Am I supposed to? Based on the repealed law, based on all this, based on all this, based on all this. As if there is somebody that is saying that you must do this today, tomorrow. You adjourn. That you're giving him the last chance. But the last chance is not came. You said, I can see that you're not ready to enter a defense. You hereby foreclose him. And shut everybody out from final written address. I have never seen that kind of trial in my life. Shut everybody in before our open eye and adjourn for judgment. In a serious matter like this, final written address. Final written address. There are some people that may decide not to enter any defense. They will say, my Lord, I'm not entering any defense. I have my final written address. Are you get what I'm saying? Now you shut him out. He now filed a motion asking you. You said that you have used one motion he filed. Argument he filed in one motion that you're going to use it as his final written address. I have never seen that kind of thing in my life. And the area will condemn this thing, the better for us. It's Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Is he going to live in Nigeria forever? But that judgment will be here forever. And I'm a lawyer. The judgment has been given. It is now left for us to analyze it, just like some other persons who are not following the matter. They are analyzing it. You shut him out. He now brought a motion in court. They didn't want to read their judgment. He said, my Lord, there is a motion. You cannot read that judgment. My Lord, you must give me my right. My right to file my final written address. It is my right. You shot him. You said that you have ruled on that one. He said, no, my lord. He was shouting on top of his voice in the court. Under what law are you shutting me out? Under what law are you shutting me out? Tell me the law that you said that I will not find my final written address. Something the constitution gave him, fair hearing. What expected? Say, okay, you want to file a final written address? Yes, no problem. I'm adjourning this matter for 2 weeks. I'm adjourning this matter for this matter that I've been in court for over 10 years. If I adjourn it, even if it's for 1 month, I give you 21 days or 3 weeks, file a final written address, serve the prosecution, file their own, give him, file their reply. Are you know what I'm saying? So that people will see it. This person without a lawyer, who is not a lawyer, is shouting, I want to find my final written address. I want to find my final written address. You said that you have ruled on that in a criminal matter. And you never gave him an opportunity to address all those evidence, all those exhibits, which I told you. And it was, you now go ahead and read the judgment. As if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was aware. It was all those exhibits that he wanted to address in his final written address. That was what we relied and give judgment and pass capital punishment of life jail on him. They said that it was Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's utterances and broadcasts that led to NSAS, which led to burning of all these places. Investigation panel report of a Lagos State government that established the immediate and remote causes of NSAS was tendered. It was not evaluated. So when you watch the judgment, you discover that all those exhibits that are in favor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not evaluated. Now, comment on the witnesses. The credibility of every witness in every matter, in every criminal matters. You are expected to check the credibility of every witness in your judgment. That was not done. Now, that trial, within trial, which you rejected Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's statement. Check out the judgment. It was not reflected. As if the judgment has been written before. Are you get what I'm saying? Now, and they said justice rush, justice crush. Because had it been that, my lord, adjourn that matter and allow Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to file his final written address. Are you get what I'm saying? We are talking about justice. Do you know, sir, that in law, they said it is better to set 9 guilty persons free than to convict 1 innocent person. And that was why in law, they said where there is any iota of doubt, you resolve it in the favor of the accused. But in this particular trial, you discover how everything is being rushed. Now, remember that we talked about notice of preliminary objection. I think that was a notice of the 16th or thereabout. That notice of preliminary objection is lying in court as I speak to you. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not given an opportunity to move it. His lawyer was not given an opportunity to move it. Yet, my lord, in his judgment, made reference to it. A motion that was not moved. And your judgment made reference to it. Are you getting what I'm saying? So I want people to see it from this particular angle. And I continue to say, if you have a good case and you channel it from a wrong angle, you will lose it. That judgment now, so there are some other issues. I don't know where those ones are coming from. Burning of American house, burning of embassy, burning of a British embassy. Something that if you watch, I have all the whole record of proceedings that even in my car as I speak to you. I have been reading the record of proceedings. Nowhere such a thing was mentioned. Nowhere evidence was laid in that. And you say that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. What are you trying to establish? You want to establish before America that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is an international terrorist. What are you trying to establish in your own judgment? I don't know what.
Without evidence.
Without evidence. Not even evidence. Nobody even mentioned it. It's wrong in the course of trial. Nobody even mentioned it. Nobody even talk about America or this. He decided they might not intentionally brought it in so that America and Britain can clap for him. That yes, he has convicted somebody that wanted to bomb our embassy. Do they know the implication of what they are saying? So these are the issues that we are asking people. We don't do this kind of thing. You don't do this, even if thank God that the judgment was recorded live. Even the course of the judgment, my lord was mimicking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I hear them say, now I discovered that his anger was shown. It was televised live. His anger was shown in the judgment. And you see, people are talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as my brother. I've been into this matter. If you pass through what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has passed through in the course of this thing, you have every right to be angry with the judicial. When the time he was brought from Kenya to court, Federal High Court, DSSS orally applied that he should be remanded in DSSS custody. A judge granted it orally without his lawyer being there, and he has a lawyer on record. You did not say no. I'm going to adjourn this matter. Put his lawyer on record. Let you file whatever you want to file. Serve him. Since people brought him, I'm going to do as if I don't know that people have brought him. File whatever thing that you want to file, even if it's by motion expertise. You allow orally, and you allow Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to speak from the dock. Somebody that have a lawyer on record. What kind of injustice is this?
Do you think that the judge played on Kanu's emotions because he made reference to the fact that he's aggressive, he's violent, and because of that, he doesn't think that...
We're talking about judgment. We're talking about judgment. The demeanor of a client should be considered. But what brought about that? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was crying for justice, and he was not getting the justice in the court of law. He said, give me fair hearing, fair hearing, fair hearing. He was shouting on it. Is it that you don't know the law? So it is, he felt that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu insulted him, and I will show him that I'm a lawyer, I'm a judge. To me, that is just it. Ordinarily, nothing would have stopped you to control yourself. Even we lawyers, most of the times, these are the things we are taught in law school. Most of the times you see a client that you don't even know how to manage the client. You are doing a matter for him, he will be aggressive against you. Most of the times he will be calling you names. He will go a long way of saying that you have collected bribe from the other part, but your eye should be on the ball. You should not, that is the training. So that when you are giving your judgment, people will now know that, yes, read that judgment. And some other person said that it's because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did not put up his defense. What do you know about defense? What did you know about defense? In fact, for the fact that he did not even put up his defense, and he was not represented by a lawyer, that is where you should have been very, very thorough in that judgment. You would have been very, very thorough in that judgment. All the whole, every comment, every document tendered must be reviewed. Now I ask you, what does Mazi Nnamdi Kanu boxers, singlet, shirt, perfume is doing with terrorism charges? Because when they tendered exhibit, in your judgment, as we are reviewing those exhibits one after the other, you check the one, because under the law, a judge is expected to expunge inadmissible evidence that has been admitted in your judgment, during your judgment. And that was the reason why you should have given Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that opportunity to file his final written address. Because in his final written address, he will begin to demolish all those exhibits one after the other. And if you know that, yes, he has succeeded in demolishing them in his final written address, you expunge them. You have the law to do that. He has even done it. He did it during the trial.
Let's move on. Nnamdi is in Sokoto now, and you've been to Sokoto. What is his mental and physical state? Even though some people also have a little bit of issues as to how he was hurriedly moved to Sokoto. Meanwhile, there have been all pleas for him to leave.
Well, the conviction was done on Thursday. He was not there. And my lord also said that we should make sure that you give me a copy of the judgment. So we demanded to have the judgment. They said that it's not ready. So when the judgment was ready, I printed it. So I went to the SSS on that fateful Friday to go and give it to him. So on getting to that place, they said, he was no longer there. That DSS at the Courtroom, that he was moved out of that place this ceremony. I said, to where? They said I should go to headquarters. I now contacted other lawyers and his brothers. I said, Mazi is no longer here. I don't know where they have taken him to. So they have directed me to go to headquarters. So they said, okay, I might go to headquarters. And I said, you people should meet me there. So all of them came. We went to headquarters. So we waited for hours until the deputy director operations, and the director legal and some other officers, they called us and said that they have taken him to Sokoto, that they have landed. I said, but you should have notified his family members so that they can have a word or two before going there, before you take him there. At least somebody who's going to prison should be able to get himself arranged, especially he's on a special diet because of his health. His drug, the brother wanted to even bring for him that day. So personally, I felt bad and I expressed it there. They said that it's order from above. I don't know what they mean by above. But of course, we have to make arrangements of moving. So it was late that day. And there's no way that we get to Sokoto. So the following morning, we moved to Sokoto. We went there. So we get to Sokoto prison. So after the necessary protocol and all this, so I saw him. So we now narrated how they brought him to that side with a one private presidential small jet and took him there. They did not even tell him where they're taking him to. It was when he landed in Sokoto, he now discovered that he's a Sokoto airport in Sokoto. So they took him to prison. Said, okay. So I now gave him the judgment, hard copy of the judgment and all this. And so he gave directives to the brother what to do. But the challenges he was having is that because he has 90 days to file his appeal, and the judgment was delivered on the 20th, and today is 26. Out of the 90 days, 6 days has gone. So, and there are some appeal he filed. When my lord overruled him in that motion, he filed appeal and transmitted record. He also filed another one to Supreme Court. I hear what I'm saying. So, and it was on record. You can see in the social media when he went to Supreme Court to file, when he was going to Court of Appeal, has been doing it on his own because he has no lawyer. And there's one affidavit he wants to post on his own. He can't do it in Sokoto Court of Appeal. So he have to come here. So the application has been made before the court, asking my lord, I don't know whether they're going to have a private jet that will be bringing him anytime I want to file something from Sokoto to Court of Appeal here and finish, they take him back. I don't know how they're going to do it because my lord said that a secured place, and one cannot tell me that Sokoto is more secure than Abuja. But whichever that is the case, I hear them saying. So that is the position. He's handicapped as I speak to you now. He cannot even do anything. He cannot even. In fact, the Federal High Court, based on that appeal he filed, the other appeal, interlocutory appeal he filed, the Federal High Court has also served him summon. They have raised a summon that he should come to settlement of record on the 28th. So nobody can settle a record for him because he never asked anybody to do it for him. He's doing it on his own. So a motion has been filed, and for him to be brought back to Abuja or any nearby distance, so that it will be easy for him to be filing his appeal. So that is the position now. So that is the position. So I think I've addressed that issue of not putting defense. I know what I'm saying. So I said not putting defense should have been shown the judge a red flag. I know what I'm saying. You should have been very, very careful.
So what was the outcome of your meeting, and did he have any message for his followers?
Of course. You know him now. He's committed on what he's doing. He's committed. Can't be intimidated. Let us hand him over capital punishment and send him to Sokoto. He will be forced to calm down. You can't see. Let me tell you, my dear brother. You can't kill somebody that you never created. You can't remove somebody that is fighting a just cause for whatever reason. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the thing there is that trying to kill, pull him down, do everything. You don't do all those things. When Abacha killed was in Sarawa, does that stop agitation in Niger Delta? It wasn't it. What stopped agitation in Niger Delta? It's not Yaradua. Through what? Through amnesty and dialogue. A dialogue. And he has achieved it. When somebody is saying that I want to go, I want to be on my own, I want to exercise my right of distance, just like P2B said, you hear the person now, my brother, come. I'm not the president. I've been sworn in. Can we talk? I've never been the president before. Now that I'm the president, can we talk? And I was not the person who arrested you. Can we talk? What is that? Okay, can you just give me from now to now?
But there are those who feel that the judge was even lenient. The federal government lawyer, the prosecution, was asking for death penalty.
You can ask for anything.
And then the judge saying that, this carries death penalty, but I'm having mercy on you.
That was why some people are saying that this has a tribal coronation. Remember that when he was arrested, another is the president, another is the attorney general, another was the president, another was attorney general, another was the judge, another was the prosecutor. That was when the northern regime left. The western regime now came. Southwest, the president, Southwest, attorney general, Southwest, prosecution, Southwest, the judge. Do you get what I'm saying? So as if the northerners were finished, hand him over to the Southwest, and they are talking one Nigeria. I don't say go to the southeast, go to the southeast. Since all this, you are investigating journalists, go to the southeast. You see that there is no person that was happy, that is happy in this state of this thing. I know we are receiving calls. Nobody is happy. Why should we be happy? Why should we be happy in a country that you call one Nigeria? And you know that what gave rise to this agitation is this particular thing, and you are still doing it. Why didn't you allow another person, somebody with a neutral mind, to try him?
You describe this as the greatest injustice or the highest injustice by international standards.
Yes.
What exactly do you mean?
What I mean is that one, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started the agitation peacefully. Everybody know through his radio comments. He was not violent. He never applied violence in it. He was. If you go to Southeast that time, what you will see people marching. I'm saying flag. You can't see anybody carrying any weapon until he was granted bail. When he was granted bail, he was enjoying his bail until the use of Operation Python dance and came to Southeast and started massacring people. That was when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's tune changed. You cannot do that. Now, on what basis are you taking Operation Python dance in somebody's with a car, in somebody's civilian? You killed 38 persons, Nigerians, in a democracy. In a democracy. I'm talking about this Malami that is now opposition, telling people to come and support him. He was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, Malami, marrying the wife of the president, shouting. If you have contact of Malami, you are there. Now he is now shouting. On what basis? Why should you start killing people? Is it not Mazi Nnamdi Kanu the first person that has been agitated? When Enugu High Court gave judgment that you should release him forthwith and awarded 500 million naira in his favor, what happened? When Federal High Court, the other Federal High Court, gave judgment and awarded 8 billion naira in his favor against federal government, did you comply with it? And order that you should release, did you comply with it? When the Court of Appeal gave judgment, what stopped you from complying with it? Why did you say that you will not comply with it? And they're asking me why the kind of injustice. Now, does Mazi Nnamdi, I think that Nigeria is a sense society where people are working with one mind. That particular time, when they refused to comply that particular judgment, there would have been protest. But because of they have checked, they feel that Igbos are the people who cannot demonstrate, who cannot do anything. That's why you can't do it another. Had it been that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is another, can you do that? You cannot do that. Of course, we know. Had it been that it's from Southwest Sudan, what happened to you, Igbo? Go and touch him now. Go and touch him. The president of Yeti Allah that threatened that if you enact the law, open grazing, you see what will happen. When he was arrested and charged for terrorism, what happened? Was his terrorism charge not discontinued? This is because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. They connived, gang up against him. You can't do it from another tribe.
What
you're asking me, so I don't know whether you're convinced.
What do you say about Senator Joseph Okalo, who and some other people who have sentiment for sentiment against IPOP, saying that his actions led to violence and death?
I don't want to talk about those who are looking for power. Do you know one thing I like Tinubu? You know one thing I like Tinubu? Tinubu is not somebody to do eye service. I hear what I'm saying. In your family, you go and so you sold your brother out because of courage of yam. I don't know whether you're assuming Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is at fault. Are you supposed to say such a thing? If you are reasonable, if you say that you are reasonable, you are somebody, former governor, former this, are you supposed to say such a thing? In a country that a bandit, a terrorist, killed Inspector General and Assistant Commissioner of Police, and wore his clothes, his uniform, and come for negotiation meeting with the federal government, and nothing happened. A country where the main bandits and the terrorists are having meeting with, and they said, the government official said, we know them. But this one, nobody in this trial, nobody, no evidence, no somebody, so just as in I, Mr. AAA, I was the person that burned police station. I was the person that killed this person. I was the person that did this. And I was able to do it because of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's instruction or broadcast. No single person. No single person. Knockout. I don't know what to call knockout. This one said small children normally play during the FSC period. It was attended in a terrorism charge. No communication. Just like how we normally see. I have participated. I have seen trial. How the trial of a terrorist, how they normally handle it. It's not a tear. It's not a tear bread something. It's a very serious business. You must secure the conviction, the trial, prove it beyond reasonable doubt. This is the gun. This person is the person who used this gun and killed this person. He said that he was able to kill it upon hearing. You link that broadcast to that particular action. It is not presumed. You don't presume it. You don't do it in assumption. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. Mr. Victor, somebody said, Allah will deal with you. If I don't kill you this night, call me bastard. And somebody reached him and died. The person made a comment, true. He will be arrested because he's the person that. But it doesn't end like that. You must check. Okay, now, when your chief has asked this question, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, if you go to conference, they played it too. I'm just giving this instance, and I want people to understand it. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, Ikenwachuku and those who attended international national conference, that national conference, 2014 national conference, that if you go there and you do not talk about Biafra, just write your will. Are you saying? This is one of the things, according to the same Nnamdi Kanu said. When your chief asked them, those people that went there, those Igbo people, did they talk about Biafra there? He said no. Is any of them died? Has any of them died? He said no. That one has settled that. Are you get what I'm saying? Sure. So when somebody made a comment, when somebody said, I will bomb this place, you check, even in law, you check the circumstances that warranted that person to say that thing. Even before you go into that particular comment, you first of all investigate the person from the back. His call, contacts, the people that is sponsored, these are the things that you use to prove terrorism, for goodness sake. Not broadcast. And the broadcast we're even talking about, we watch it, we participated in it. Like ESN. He said that now, if you watch in the southeast, what is raining is raping people, kidnapping, and all these things. We are. This is a matter of urgency. We are going to recruit these people to go into the bush and make sure that there is nothing like a banditry, kidnapping, and raping in our bush. And while we are doing this thing, we are going to organize, package the law, and send it to the various state house of assembly for them to enact it as a law, so that it will have backup. In that broadcast, we use Omotosho as a reference point. It was there. Do you know that particular video was not reviewed in the judgment? I can go on and on and on and on. I have the record of proceedings, Mr. Victor. I can give you a copy. If you have time, just read it. You don't ask, reconcile the judgment with the record of proceedings. That's why I posted in my distance. Because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that if you know that you're with me, don't go and start arguing blindly on the social media. Because they normally pay people, they normally request people to pull him down. Concentrate on what you're doing. So I said, for you to talk about any particular judgment, and they said that this judgment is a judgment that is carrying a basket of injustice.
Let's look at the specific grounds of your appeal now. Considering the fact that the prosecution presented evidences of violent secessionists, according to them, violent secessionist broadcast of Nnamdi Kanu. So how are you going to knock off these terrorism charges in the appeal court?
For the fact that you did not give the defendant the power, the opportunity to present his final written address, which you, in your judgment, said that you're going to allow parties to address whatever issues they have with evidence in their final written address, which the Constitution gave you the power to file. You now on your own, and foreclose them that right. That particular judgment is date on arrival. No panel we support that particular judgment. It must be set aside. You are asking me grounds. I don't want to go into. I'm just only that one. Only that one. Because on my own, what we are doing is that a lot of people are interested. A lot of people, including judges. Mr. Victor, if I tell you how many judges that have called me, both serving and retired, that have called me, and they were vibrating. Judges of this country, both those that are serving and retired, because the thing is against the judiciary of Nigeria, and they need to be taken serious. Then we are professors of laws, people. In fact, one sent me this from Oklahoma. If you see that grants, he sent the grants to me, because the judgment is on a public space. People are you know what I'm saying? When you even those who have one or two things against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they have decided to come into this matter. They say, no, this is the worst of it. This is the worst of it. Do you get what I'm saying? So the grants is not something that I will come here, but I've just give you one. That one is for laymen. How can you ask somebody not to file his final written address? Where the section 36 of the Constitution said that anybody who is charged with needed adequate time and facility. Then section 2194 or thereabouts of the Constitution that gave him the power to file final written address on your own. The judge, you exercise your power to foreclose them their right of final written address. That's why Nnamdi Kanu is calling it a shrine of injustice. It's not good now. You don't do it. And the earlier we condemn this, the better for us.
Suddenly, we've seen a rush of people talking about political solutions. Are you seeing any prospects of amnesty for him?
He will not take it.
Why?
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will not take it. You give amnesty to a criminal, somebody who committed a crime. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu he won't take it.
So if you give an opportunity now, he won't take
it. Don't even try to mention it. Because when I tried to mention it on Sunday, and his reaction to me, the way he even turned our eyes, he's not that kind of person. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is well punished, and he's committed is what he's doing. Do you get what I'm saying? Because one, people are looking at him. Do you get what I'm saying? Because once you say that you're a freedom fighter, there's some price you needed to pay. Do you get what I'm saying? There's some price you needed to pay. You should be committed in what you are doing. Nobody lives forever. No government stands forever. So anything you need, look at how Abacha died. Yes, Abacha died. Nigerians were jubilating. Am I right? Yes. What's the name? Look at Buhari that died the other day in Daura. People were jubilating that their own son died. Who was the president? But when Yar'Adua died, people were crying. In this country, when Yar'Adua died, people were crying. So what are we talking about? So anything you are doing, remember tomorrow. Anything you are doing, remember your children. Anything you are doing, remember your family. Remember your in-laws. Remember that those who believe in you. Because when you are moving, you are not moving alone. You consider your wife, you consider your in-laws, you consider your siblings, you consider your father, you consider the name. Your name.
I can only say this. This case is purely political. I don't know why this thing is going like this, but from what I'm saying, in fact, I think I've been saying this. This case is highly political. There's nothing courts can do about this. It is possible now that with all these explanations that this lawyer have actually gave, the appeal court might rule against Nnamdi Kanu too. They might probably uphold the rulings of the trial court. And Supreme Court, might do the same. And ECOWAS Court, if it is possible, the court of the international community, might still do the same thing. So the substance in this case is to, pursue it with the corridor of political, resolution. In as much as it should be addressed, it has to be addressed politically, and it's only within a round table that this case will be, trashed. Anything less than this is void and nullity. While we are going to commend the lawyer for this very exposition, let's go back to what I made reference to, that I said I was going to give a hint on the issue the lawyer raised to why the legal team of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had to resign. Now, let's reflect this or review this with the Nigerian Constitution with these legal questions. Does the Nigerian Constitution support this very statement? No. The Nigerian Constitution does not give the judge superior interest over the litigant. Let's think very carefully. This is the constitutional position. Section 36 talks about the right to fair hearing. Now, you talk about when Nnamdi Kanu raised an objection and it was denied. So this is purely a miscarriage of justice, and it is something that everybody have to condemn. The Constitution guarantees every citizen equal opportunity before the court, unbiased adjudication, and the right to challenge any decision made in court. This means the client's right to justice cannot be inferior to the court's convenience or preference. Section 6 also talk about judicial powers. Judicial power is subject to the Constitution, the law, and due process. And this is where I'm getting confused, because the lawyer is saying something opposite here. If the law is B and the client is not tried with that B, it is tried with A, there is no reflection to that particular law. And Section 6 talks about judicial powers. And that judicial power, you talk about the Constitution, the law, and the due process. And they say the power of judiciary, the judicial power, is also subject to the law, the constitution of the land. Judges cannot act as dictators inside courtroom. That is what the constitution is saying. Their decisions are binding only to the extent that they comply with the law. 2, can a lawyer not challenge a judge if the judge is wrong? This is legally incorrect. The Nigerian legal system provides every mechanism for challenging a judge. You talk about the appeal. Every ruling or judgment can be challenged under Court of Appeal. Now, you also talk about motion for review or reconsideration. A lawyer can respectively challenge a ruling through formal applications, because I'm actually reviewing this now with Nigerian Constitution. So now I'm saying that it is understandable when the lawyer say there should be no altercation between them and the judge. The Constitution also talk about the motion for recusal. If bias is suspected, lawyers may file for judge to step aside. Also, we talk about the petition to National Judicial Council under Section 153 and paragraph 21 of Part 1 of the third schedule. The National Judicial Council disciplines judges when bias, when there is corruption, when there is misconduct, when there is abuse of power, and all sorts, meaning the judge are not untouchable. They can be suspended, removed, or their judgment set aside. But we are talking about Nigeria. Is this even applicable in Nigeria? Third, you talk about why can't a lawyer clash with a judge? Now, this is the head point. This is actually correct, but only in terms of courtroom decorum, not legal rights. It's actually governed by rules of professional conduct. Now, these are for those that are lawyers. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reviewing the Nigerian Constitution in the best way I can for the emphasis of this very case, because like I told you, this very Kanu's case have actually mandated most of us to going into Nigerian Constitution. The lawyer must not insult the judge. That is correct. Not shout or show disrespect. Not interrupt, improperly. Not confront the court emotionally. This is to avoid contempt of court, not because the judge is above the law. So the lawyer can challenge decisions, but cannot fight physically, emotionally inside the courtroom. Therefore, does the Constitution allow a judge's decision to stand even if it is wrong? Now, this is where you need to understand too. This is a capital no. A wrong judgment does not stand permanently under the Constitution, just like what they just issued, because whether I like it or not, we all know there are elements of terrorism, and what was found with Nnamdi Kanu are just playful boxers and all of those things. And as of today, there's not been any linkage of any sort of terrorism that is directly proven to be linked with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And these are the things that I think the appeal court is going to actually be, redressing, because the section 233 appeal rights actually follow suit. Every judgment can be, overturned by Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, and ECOWA Court in human rights matters. It didn't even end in Supreme Court. So if the judge misinterprets the law, the higher court reverses him. So whatever the judge says stands, is only temporary until higher courts intervene. Now another question is it true that a lawyer can, suffer a capital punishment for challenging a judge? Legally, no. There is no capital punishment in the Constitution or Legal Practitioners Act for challenging a judge. What exists is suspension, reprimand, or contempt charges. If the challenge is done, disrespectfully, a lawyer will not be punished for filing appeals, questioning legal interpretations, exposing judicial bias, petitioning the NJC. These are normal legal procedures. Then another legal question is, does the Constitution place the court's interest above the client's rights? Absolutely not. The Constitution places citizens and their rights above the court's personal interests. Hear me. The Constitution places citizens and their rights above the court's personal interests. Court's interest is equal to maintaining order and fairness. Client interest is equal to justice, fair hearing, and constitutional rights. Now, you will watch that when you compare this to the trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you'll be able to, figure things yourself. So the court interest does not override the client's constitutional right. Then, talking about why the lawyer said that, because the lawyer actually said the things that is actually making us to, review all these things. Now, what the lawyer meant is that he cannot argue loudly or fight the judge. He must remain respectful. He cannot confront the judge when rulings appear unfair. But constitutionally, he can challenge the judge, just not rudely. This is the final constitutional position. The Constitution does not place the judge above the litigant. Know about this. Secondly, the Constitution does not say a lawyer cannot challenge a judge. The Constitution also provides multiple ways to challenge judicial decisions. The Constitution guarantees fair hearing even against wrong judges. The judicial misconduct is punishable by NJC, not protected. And lastly, the lawyer's claim applies only to courtroom conduct, not legal reality. This is the only thing we actually needed to address here, because we will continue to drop the update one after the other. Anything that comes up, we would always bring it in. As always, this is about perspectives, your domain for unfiltered news and raw political analysis. We'll say it the way it is. We will repost. We will always, just like that video you just watched, the credit is given to Symphony TV. So if you need to watch more about the things they post, I think there are some kind of unfiltered interviews and all of that, so you could go and revisit it. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share it as wide as possible, and of course leave your comment. Like I do say, your commentary is as important as the video itself. And don't forget to smash the subscribe button, turn on the notification, so you would always get notified each time we drop any unfiltered update. Thank you for watching.